Okay, how to become an Agni Yogi. Let me read to you a quote. This quote is from the book Hierarchy, which is from the Agni Yoga series, paragraph 320. It's the third edition, if you're interested in that. What undertakings enter into life without great tension? I'm going to repeat that. What undertakings enter into life without great tension? Each creative step is the affirmation of great battles. Each battle has its predestination, and each design its significance. Thus, those who walk along with the powers of light must know that without a tense battle, there is no victory. Thus, when the step of great victory is being affirmed, the disciples of light must feel the entire invincibility of the spirit and the entire steadfastness of actions. When the affirmation of great foundations was given to humanity, each tension was accepted as a further impulse for new structures. Thus, in evolution, each banner has been affirmed by the greatness of this steadfastness manifested. Verily, only thus may one conquer. I love this verse because for me it is the embodiment of what the kind of life an Agni Yogi lives, the path that an Agni Yogi travels. So I'm going to give you that paragraph again. It's from the book Hierarchy, paragraph 320. So you can use this paragraph to think about, to ponder, write an article, focus on it when you go throughout your day-to-day, life and week and month and so forth. So this verse serves as the introduction for those who are striving to become an Agni Yogi. Last week's talk was on the subject of spiritual tests. This morning's talk is like an extension of that subject. And next week I'm going to talk about battles, so you can see the continuity. Okay. Last week I defined the word disciple. I explained that students in the teaching, in the Trans-Himalayan teaching, the Aegis Wisdom teaching, are called disciples. That disciples are fountains of spiritual energy. Remember that? Directing that flow of energy into the world to create a more progressive environment. An environment that is aligned to the natural life, not the unnatural life, which means anything that goes against nature. We are aligned to the natural life, and this includes all kingdoms of nature, from the lowest to the highest. So this is important. Disciples are also those people who try to assimilate the teaching. They not just gain the knowledge, but to assimilate the knowledge and to actualize it in their lives. What I did not say last week was that at a particular level of discipleship, you will become an Agni Yogi. At a particular level of discipleship or a stage of achievement, you will become an Agni Yogi. An Agni Yogi is one who is dedicated to the labor and vision of the next link in the chain of hierarchy. He or she is recognized by her dedication, devotion, and faithfulness to that tower of light. An Agni Yogi is a torchbearer. An Agni Yogi lives a life of sacrificial service. So you see how you can't pretend? Yeah, I'm an Agni Yogi. Let me go home and sit on the couch because I've attained enlightenment. You can't do that. An Agni Yogi is just the opposite of that. Their whole life is a symbol and an example and a legend, becomes a legend of one who lives a life of sacrificial service. She or he travels the lighted path. Whenever a beacon of light shines forth, there you will see gathered a group of Agni Yogis. Whenever a beacon of light shines forth, there you will see gathered a group of Agni Yogis, a center of light dedicated to the plan of hierarchy. An Agni Yogi is an accepted disciple. You see how we're taking the progression now that you're a disciple, which is a fountain of spiritual energy. At some point in your progression of discipleship, you become an Agni Yogi. Once you become an Agni Yogi, you become an accepted disciple. An accepted disciple means the master has accepted you into the higher subjective ashram. See how plainly descriptive that is, of the life of an Agni Yogi. Here's something I found. It's an instruction from the Buddha. The Buddha was instructing his disciples, and this is what he said. This is so amazing. We are what we think. All that we are arises into our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. Speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you. Now imagine the Buddha and all of his thousands of followers, thousands of disciples listening to this. As the wheel follows the ox that draws the cart, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. Speak or act with a pure mind, and happiness will follow you as your shadow, unshakable. See, nobody can penetrate that and destroy it. Look how he abused me and berate me, how he threw me down and robbed me. Live with such thoughts, and you live in hate. Look at how he abused me. Look at how he beat me. How he threw me down and robbed me. The Buddha said, abandon such thoughts and live in love. In this world, hate never yet dispelled hate. Only love dispels hate. This is the law, ancient and inexhaustible. And if you have a copy of the Dhammapada, that's where you can find this instruction. To become an accepted disciple, to become an Agni Yogi, you must go into battle. To go into battle directed toward all those forces which prevent your spiritualization. and that do not let your human soul proceed on the path of perfection. I'm going to repeat this so it goes right into the brain. You can think about it later. To become an accepted disciple. Now remember what an accepted disciple is. Accepted by the master. Accepted into the higher ashram. Now you must go into battle. You may have thought you were engaged in battle before that acceptance, but now you're walking right into the middle of the battle. To go into a battle directed toward all those forces which prevent your spiritualization, and that do not let your human soul proceed on this path of perfection. There are many weapons used against our soul. This is very interesting to think about, that the ego is a weapon against our soul. Vanity, pornography, which is so virulent today because of the internet. Flattery. Interesting to compare flattery and pornography. You know, that word is right next to this word. In this whole sentence of ego, vanity, pornography, flattery. Hypocrisy is one of those weapons that work against our soul. And totalitarianism. These are things we're going to go into battle against. Disunity, hatred, confusion, separatism, and also the love of materialism. These are all weapons used against us to keep us from progressing and evolving. The Agni Yogi must also fight more subtle forces of chaos. All of this fight is carried on in the light of hierarchy. So that's my introduction. Okay. So I've taken from the teachings about 15, maybe 13 different points of what we need to know as we engage in this battle. And this is what I'd like us to maybe interact with, if you're comfortable with that. See what you think about it. One of these things that we need to know is self-exertion. That self-exertion is necessary. I guess we could say self-exertion means to surpass our present state of beingness. We must do everything to surpass ourselves in every field that we're related to. So, for example, something simple. Let's say that you still write letters. Okay. Can you improve your penmanship? Can you improve your thoughts that go into that word that you're putting down on a piece of paper? Now, to me, it is more difficult to write a beautiful letter via the internet or via email. You really have to penetrate your thought. Energy follows thought. So you write your idea, you energize it before you send it off. Really think about what it is you're saying, because there's no warmth coming from that mechanism called a computer. We're going to learn better grammar, better expressions of words and sentences, better synthesis, and try to write something that evokes a better response from the one that we are writing to. So have any of you tried doing that and seen the result? People are masters at evoking anger. I don't know why that is, but it seems to be. So self-exertion. What are other areas in our life that we can practice self-exertion? For example, self-exertion is the opposite of giving up. Valerie, you want to say something?
When I think of self-exertion, I think of striving more than we think we can, sacrificing more than we think we can, loving more than we think we can, and just going beyond what we have thought of as this is what I can do, and really pushing that line a little bit further.
Okay. Catherine.
I was thinking on a daily basis that it's easy to fall into a state of laziness or inertia, and the self-exertion would be to set goals for each day, and strive toward them, and each day challenge yourself to work better, be more creative, and get things accomplished.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, one point that comes to my mind is a habit. To push beyond. Habits are addictions. We habitually think this way about that person. Or we walk in a habitual way. We think habitually. It's very interesting to think about various kinds of habits we have and how habits are addictions. Okay, that's self-exertion. Striving is another one. It's another thing that we need to know as we engage in this battle. Striving. Striving is to reach a level of your dream that you have always had in your mind. So the first thing I'm thinking about, as I was putting this together about, okay, have I manifested any part of a dream or a vision that I've had? And I was very happy to say yes. It's a tremendous sense of accomplishment, and it's something I think we all need to review from the time you were young. Your accomplishments and your dreams are certainly different when you were young, but I think it's very important for youngsters to become accomplished and successful, in their dream, so they realize as an adult, look at what I did when I was a kid. I can do something even greater and better now, something more substantial. So as an Agni Yogi, what is an Agni Yogi going to manifest as a result of a dream? So that's when we turn to the biographies of these great ones and we read about the life of Nicholas and Helena Rourke. We read about the life of Torquem Saradarian. If you've never read his biography, read that biography. This is the life of an Agni Yogi. You read the biographies, and there isn't really a biography of the Rourkes, but you can read interviews of their disciples. You can read At the Threshold of the New World, which is some of the writings out of a diary of Helena Rourke. And now we're putting together, hopefully by the end of this year, be able to publish the letters of Sina Fosdick, who was a direct disciple of the Rourkes. And this whole journal she wrote is about her relationship with them and their life and how they lived their life. So we can see what striving is striving to manifest a dream. So this is not just the dream of, having a Mercedes Benz. Right, this is a dream that is so substantial that it will affect and influence, positively influence, the lives of thousands of people. We cannot proceed on the path of perfection if we are satisfied wherever we are. The strange thing is that whenever we do not advance, the teaching says we retrogress. So we're either advancing or we're retrogressing. We degenerate ourselves. Retrogressing means we are degenerating. A thought that comes to mind is an important point for us in our life is to surround ourselves, to create an environment that is conducive to progress. This is why an Agni yogi must select their close friends very carefully. To have a circle of friends that sustain an environment that is progressive and not retrogressive. When you have a tight-knit circle of friends around and about you, it is it's like a bonfire of people that when anything, negative thoughts, dark forces try to penetrate, into that wall of fire, what's going to happen? They're going to run from that fire if fire burns. They're either going to completely transform themselves and come into your circle to be part of the army, of the progressive forces, or they will run away. But the point is they can no longer harm you. They cannot sabotage you. They cannot prevent you from manifesting that aspect of your dream. There are two kinds of energies in the universe. One energy is pulling, the other energy is pushing. Okay, pulling, pushing. There is attraction and repulsion. If you are not attracted, you are repulsed. Okay, so that's striving. Tension is another one. Master Moria speaks about tension. So this is a word that if you're on the internet and you know how to get to the agniyoga.org website, do go to their search section and type in tension, the word tension. You'll see a lot of incredible, insightful instructions from the Master on this word. Attention is a very philosophical and psychological word, and it has so much in it. I'm jumping over here because I brought in another concept of tension a page later. I want to tie the two together. Undertakings and tension. What undertakings enter into life? What undertakings enter into our life without great tension? Now remember, I'm talking about an Agni yogi, the life of an Agni yogi. Not the life of a non-thinking or unawakened person. We cannot achieve anything worthwhile without tension. For me, one of the simplest definitions or ways to understand tension is through my violin. well, I don't have it anymore, I sold it, but anyway, to come to Arizona. But I was a violinist, professional violinist for many, many years. So music is a good resource for me to use as, a example. If there was no tension on those 4 strings of that violin could have been worth that Stradivarius that was just stolen away from its owner. That thief, if that thief does not know how to tune that violin and there's no tension on the strings, that violin is worthless because it can't serve its purpose, which is to produce beautiful music. You can take a high quality musician, talented musician, and if they are playing on a poor instrument, that music is going to be very, very ugly, even though that highly talented musician will put everything he or she knows into the instrument to play it. But it's still only as good as the quality of the instrument. So, tension is not just putting the right amount of pressure and striving into that, the manifestation of the dream that we're trying to put into our life. It means that we have to take care of it. We have to take care of it. We have to nurture it. We have to put it in an environment where it will be protected as opposed to continuously exposed to decay. See what I'm saying? I remember as a child, my whole life was music, and Mom and Dad, had put me through a whole series, a year's worth of psychological studies to determine what I was going to be when I grew up. And these were tests given by doctors and professionals. And all the tests said that I was going to be a musician. So my whole life as a little kid was focused on music. Playing the piano, playing the violin. Yeah, and Mom and Dad said, you're going to be great, you're going to be great, you're going to be great. And then there's a teacher that said, you're not going to be great. You need to do something else. I went home and told Mom, you're wasting your money on this teacher. You don't want a parent telling a child something like that. You don't want your best friend to say you're never going to make it. I remember years ago with a group when we gathered together and we designed a building, a sanctuary, what it was going to be like for this group. Planting this idea, this blueprint, what it was going to be like for us when we moved into it. And everybody was so excited, it was so wonderful, and then this sourpuss raised her hand. She says, this is fantasy. You're never going to get a building like this. Why are you talking about such stupid things? Well, she's no longer alive, and I'm thinking, well, okay, maybe now you can see. Took a little while, but she was striving. Right? Look at what it produced. So, that person, as she entered that ring of fire, had the opportunity to become transformed in her thinking, or if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. So she left the kitchen. So the point here is of tension. For the Agni Yogi, we want tension. but we want the right kind of tension. We don't want negative pressure. We don't want people around us always saying, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. The Agni yogis draw people like that to them in the form of the dark forces. So, excuse me, I have a drippy nose this morning. So we have to choose or create our environment in a way that is conducive to manifesting our dreams. And then pretty soon, that team of people, that environment of people that are supporting you and you are supporting them, then you become that center of light. Okay. Battle. The real battle is within ourselves. This is kind of hard to swallow when we first hear it, but as we begin to think about it, I'm saying, yeah, this is really right on. We have so many enemies inside that we really don't need outside enemies. It is inside that needs cleaning. So the battle is against inside enemies. If we are going to fight, we must know who our enemies are. We are going to discover that if there is something in us that is calling us to battle, we need to find those factors, those elements within us that are not approved by our innermost sensitivity. After we locate these enemies, if we want to advance, we must declare war against them. To declare war against them, we need tension. Again, going back to the violin, we have to not only have an incredible instrument, it needs to be in tune, in harmony with that dream, in harmony with our life purpose, in harmony with the ashram, in harmony with hierarchy. So every day we want to tune ourselves, and that's why we have meditation. Or we start the day out with reading Agni Yoga teachings. To declare war against our enemies, we need tension, which means we want to concentrate our own forces to fight against them. I'm jumping through some of these points, and I know we're not engaged in interaction, but I don't get the sense that you want to, so it's easier to sit and think. But if you have something you want to say, just raise your hand. You've got a minute and a half. Timing. We are going to understand where and when to enter into battle and with whom. What values do we have? What preparation do we have to enter into battle? How can we change the conditions if we are stupid and ignorant and silly and self-defeating? If we enter into a battle impulsively, compulsively, through anger and vanity and stupidity, then we're not going to win that battle. So we have to be in the right place at the right time and ready. Those who walk along with the powers of light must know that without a tense battle, there is no victory. Okay, let me finish with steadfastness. I have a whole bunch of things here, but I knew I wouldn't get to them all. But it's such an incredible subject, isn't it? To really think about. I just love it. Okay, steadfastness. We'll end with this. Steadfastness means to be steadily directed. In evolution, each banner has been affirmed by the greatness of the steadfastness manifested. Now, a banner can be like the banner of peace. A banner can be a master. A banner can be a light bearer, a torch bearer. Each banner has been affirmed by the greatness of the steadfastness manifested. Okay. Verily, says the Master, only thus may one conquer, is through steadfastness. I have seen many, many people entering the path and then quitting. One day my teacher asked, "Can you give a picture of me of how you see people who enter the spiritual path and then quit with many reasons?" I said, "Well, I have a nice picture in my mind. One day I was traveling in a little speedboat. It was called Shaolin. There's the name of the speedboat, Marshall and Jolene Shaolin, right? I was traveling in this little speedboat with my 2 boys and husband, and dolphins were running alongside the boat. Remember back in Florida? Suddenly they stopped running with us. People are quite like that, those fish. They're going along with us, going along with us. I mean, this group has been in existence for, 31, 32 years now. Actually, longer than that. And they come along for a while alongside the boat and swim just like those beautiful little dolphins, and then they go away. Steadfastness means steadily directed. It is important to have steadfastness in everything. The only thing that makes us reach our destination is steadfastness. So like Winston Churchill says, don't give up. Okay, that's it. Okay, I'm looking for these pages of other things, see if I really missed anything important. Oh, yeah, one little thing I missed was contradiction. Be careful you don't contradict yourself. Don't take 1 step ahead and 10 steps behind, backward. Don't contradict yourself. To be steady at the helm, steadfastness, move forward at the right pace, establish the right rhythm for yourself. Engage in the right rhythm. Don't go out there, like the horse race where the jockey has got that horse all revved up, and has his little whip with him, and the horse goes out the gate and first place, right? And everybody that's bet on that horse, boy, they know they've just won millions. And halfway around the racetrack, the horse starts dropping back and dropping back and dropping back, and you didn't even place first, second, or third. That's the opposite of steadfastness. So even with that little whip hitting that poor beautiful horse, it didn't work. The horse wasn't ready. So don't go out that gate, at 100 miles an hour when you're only ready to go 5 miles an hour. Okay.